This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
You are now entering the Stone Zone. John Bolton, once President Donald Trump's national security advisor, who became a backstabber after flaming out spectacularly in that role, has now pled guilty to illegally retaining classified national security information from his time in the first Trump administration. I used to play in a floating crap game in Washington, D.C. with Bolton. He wasn't much of a poker player either. Bolton pled guilty to one count under an agreement that could bring up to 60 months in prison and requires him to pay a $2.25 million fine. That amount isn't nearly equal to the reported sales from his anti-Trump memoir, The Room Where It Happened, which he published in 2020 after leaving the Trump White House. The case centered on classified information that Bolton admitted keeping in a private diary entry. Prosecutors had originally brought an 18-count indictment, accusing him of retaining more than 1,000 pages of classified national defense material, including documents marked secret and top secret. He was also accused of transmitting classified information through personal email accounts that unauthorized family members could access. Now, Bolton had initially pled not guilty, but his attorney, Abby Lowell, who more recently represented Hunter Biden, argued that the records were personal diary material, unclassified, shared only with immediate family, and already known to the FBI years earlier. But the guilty plea makes it clear that there was more to Bolton's story. The mustachioed warmonger spent years attacking President Trump and presenting himself as a guardian of national security judgment. The truth is, this guy never met a war he didn't like. President Trump mostly ignored him when he served in the administration. In the aftermath, Bolton weaponized sensitive information tied to his government service for personal gain. No one should be above the law, especially former officials lecturing the country about principle, responsibility, national security, and integrity while being grotesquely corrupt. Let's hope the courts throw the book at Bolton and he has to serve the maximum jail time. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump is showing signs of renewed political momentum heading into the midterm election season, with new polling indicating his approval rating is moving upward. A new poll by Rasmussen puts Trump's approval rating at 46%, his highest mark in many months. A notable sign that support is returning as voters weigh his leadership on the economy, national security, and foreign policy. While the political environment remains competitive, the numbers suggest that President Trump is regaining ground at a critical moment for Republicans. There's also movement among independent voters. A Quinnipiac poll released Wednesday found Trump's approval rating among independents has climbed to 34%, his strongest showing with that group since December. That still leaves room for growth, there's no question, but it marks improvement from earlier surveys that showed independents pulling back over concerns about the economy as well as foreign affairs. The White House says the president is focused on leadership, not polls. Presidential spokesperson Davis Engel said Americans want a commander-in-chief who acts decisively to eliminate threats and to keep the country safe. He pointed out Operations Epic Fury and Midnight Hammer and Trump's pledge to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon as examples of that approach. The proposed peace plan with Iran, after obliterating the nuclear threat and decapitating the regime, has also shown to be tremendously popular, according to all polls. Voters may disagree on tactics, but they recognize a president willing to act in America's interest to defend national security, close our borders, and project strength on the world stage. The people know that President Trump is not someone who's going to be bullied, and that is something they can respect. As the midterms approach, rising approval numbers give Republicans an important boost and show that President Trump's America First agenda really still has legs. The radical Democrats will be defeated, and I think that Republicans will gain in both houses, despite what some panicans may be saying today. Meanwhile, Trump border czar Tom Homan says the administration is preparing to add 1,000 new immigration agents, marking another major step in President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. Speaking Friday at the Faith and Freedom Coalition's Road to Majority Conference, Homan said the administration has already had a historic number of deportations. He told the crowd that 10,000 more agents should be on board by the end of next month, then added, wait until next year. Homan also defended the men and women of ICE, who he said have faced constant attacks from left-wing politicians and activists simply for doing their job and enforcing the law. He said ICE agents strap on a firearm and Kevlar vests every day to arrest the worst of the worst, only to be smeared by members of Congress as Gestapo or secret police. His response was blunt. ICE is enforcing laws Congress itself wrote. If politicians call agents racist for enforcing those laws, what does it say about the lawmakers who created and voted for them? President Trump also touted his administration's enforcement record, saying ICE and Border Patrol have achieved the highest average daily arrest rate, detention totals, final removal orders, and removals of any president in history. He said court delays are slowing down some final orders, but the administration's numbers remain unmatched. There are historical accomplishments that form the core of President's MAGA legacy. After years of open border chaos, America finally has leadership willing to enforce immigration law, back federal agents, remove criminal illegal aliens, and put the safety of American citizens first. ICE is gearing up to do the mass deportations that are needed to save America for generations to come. Any illegals who've been able to evade justice up to now better watch out. ICE will be coming to their doors soon to send them back where they belong. House Democrats, on the other hand, are bracing for a much more radical caucus in 2027 as Democratic socialists and far-left candidates rack up primary victories, not just in New York, but across the country. The number of Democratic Socialists of America members in Congress is set to more than double after Tuesday's New York primaries. State Assembly member Claire Valdez won the seat of retiring Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez, the only other Nydia I know other than my wife, Nydia Stone, while extreme Marxist activist Daria Villa Chevalier defeated Congressman Adriano Espelay. They're expected to join figures like AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Pennsylvania's Chris Rabb. But the broader left-wing wave goes beyond official DSA, Democrats, Socialists of America members. Progressive candidates have scored wins in New Jersey, Texas, California, and Maine, while several others position to challenge incumbent Democrats, yet in primaries coming up in California, Colorado, Florida, Missouri, and Michigan. Democrats are growing increasingly concerned. Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, actually criticized the mayor, socialist Mamdani, for blowing up the Democrat establishment. If you can't get to the left of Letitia James and not fall off the earth, where can you go? Democrats realize that this is a huge problem coming into general elections. They're growingly concerned. Congressman Steve Cohen, the only guy I know who has a ponytail, but he's bald, warned that it'll be difficult to rein in lawmakers who are belligerent adherents to a socialist ideology. One House Democrat said voters are electing candidates who want to fight but not solve problems. Another warned that they could become Freedom Caucus of the left. Some progressives are already coordinating and talking about using leverage against party leadership, especially if Democrats only hold a narrow majority. This shows that the Democratic Party is not drifting left. It is being held hostage by the far left, which will stop at nothing to achieve more government control, more woke ideological mandates, and fewer moderate common sense solutions. Democrat leaders are figuring out that they've created a monster that now threatens to consume them. As voters get to learn more about these leftists, they will realize that perhaps voting for Republicans is the only sane option. New Census Bureau data shows the South is leading America's population growth, outpacing every other region from 2020 to 2025. According to the Bureau, the South grew by 6% over that period, nearly double the national growth of 3.1%. Even more telling, the South was the only region where the population under 18 increased, growing by 1.1%, while the Northeast, Midwest, and West all saw declines among children. Census officials say the region's gains are being driven largely by metro counties, especially outlying counties surrounding the major cities. Those areas grew quickly across every age group, suggesting the South is attracting and retaining families, workers, retirees, and young adults. Lauren Bowers, chief of the Census Bureau's Population Estimates Branch, said shifting migration, fertility patterns, and the aging of baby boomers are changing the country's demographic map. But she noted the South stands out because it's gaining residents in age groups that are flat or declining elsewhere in the country. Conservatives don't need to hear from experts as to why this is happening. It's the result of failed liberal policies. As a result, Americans are voting with their feet. They're moving towards states and communities that generally offer lower taxes, more affordable housing, stronger job growth, warmer business climates, and in many cases, more respect for family life and personal freedom. While blue state leaders piously lecture the country from their ivory towers, regular people are leaving high-cost, over-regulated regions where the laws are soft on crime and building their futures in the greener pastures of the South. Perhaps the folks who say the South will rise again, well, maybe they were onto something after all. A new analysis is demonstrating major political bias in artificial intelligence, finding that several leading chatbots lean left when answering basic policy questions. According to this new report, OpenAI's ChatGPT produced the most one-sided responses of any model tested. Its GPT 5.5 system reportedly answered about 80% of political questions using only left-leaning arguments, while presenting an exclusively right-leaning position only one time. Anthropic's Claude, China's DeepSeek, and Ira's Gab also tended to give left-wing answers. Google's Gemini and xAI's Grok came closest to balance, with Gemini offering competing arguments in more than 90% of its responses. Researchers from Stanford and Dartmouth developed the questions covering issues like affirmative action, taxes, healthcare, campaign finance, and the Electoral College. In examples cited throughout the study, ChatGPT favored overturning Citizens United, raising taxes on wealthy Americans, abolishing the Electoral College, and adopting a single-payer health care system. President Trump has repeatedly warned that AI must not become another left-wing institution shaping public opinion from behind a screen. His administration has already ordered federal agencies to procure artificial intelligence systems that function as neutral, nonpartisan tools. If Americans are going to rely on AI for information, those systems cannot quietly feed progressive talking points while pretending to be objective or factual. These are the most powerful tools that shape minds and public opinions that have ever been created. AI must be transparent, accountable, and generally politically neutral. Trump administration should not be shy about crafting federal regulations that make sure AI does not become another tool just used for left-wing brainwashing. I'm Roger Stone. You're listening to the Stone Zone. When we come back, the rent freeze that I was predicted before the last mayoral election has happened, with the Muslim socialist mayor Zohran Mandemi leading the charge. I'm Roger Stone. You're listening to Stone Zone. Don't go away, because we'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health Premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.